Under the scorching Austrian sun, deep into the heart of race day, Lewis Hamilton's calm but firm voice echoed across the Ferrari team radio. "I don't want to stop." It wasn't just a simple disagreement about tires or pit windows. It was a moment of tension between one of the greatest drivers of all time and the system he had signed up to elevate. On the surface, it looked like a minor call, one of thousands that happened during a Formula One Grand Prix, but for those watching closely, it marked a turning point. This wasn't Hamilton questioning tire degradation, it was Hamilton pushing back against the very structure of how Ferrari makes decisions. And now, that single phrase has rippled all the way up to the top of the Ferrari leadership. The response from the Ferrari boss has come, but it's what lies beneath that tells the real story. In the aftermath of the Austrian GP, Ferrari maintained a calm front. Jerome D'Ambrosio, stepping in for Fred Vasseur, downplayed the tension. He said they followed the standard optimal strategy, but that phrase standard optimal was exactly the issue. Ferrari once again chose the safe, expected option instead of listening to their driver in real time, a driver who has seen more race scenarios than anyone on the current grid. When Hamilton said, "I don't want to stop," he wasn't being rebellious. He was reading the race, understanding the car, the tires, the gaps, and the flow of the race better than any software could. And still, his call was overridden. The team chose protocol over instinct, a move that left Hamilton finishing P4 when there was room, maybe not for a podium, but at least for a deeper strategy test. A driver-led approach that could have revealed more for future races. In his long career, Hamilton has raced under systems that allowed him to be part of the strategy, not just upon executing commands. At Mercedes, his feedback often led to on-the-spot changes that delivered results. Ferrari, though, remains trapped in a different era, team famous for heritage and passion, but also for conservative calls that cost races. What makes this even more revealing is the backdrop of Ferrari's internal politics. Hamilton didn't just join Ferrari for money or legacy. He came with a purpose to change a culture, to bring modern Formula One thinking into a system that's been slow to evolve. And it's not just about hardware or wind tunnel time. It's about how decisions are made, who is trusted, and how much authority a driver holds. The disagreement in Austria was about more than win a pit. It was a line being drawn in the sand, a silent challenge to the way Ferrari operates. Behind the scenes, conversations have already begun to shift. Sources close to Ferrari say that Hamilton and D'Ambrosio have been spending increasing time, not just in driver debriefs, but in strategic meetings, analyzing why decisions are made, the way they are, and how to introduce a more driver-centric approach. This is not common at Ferrari. Historically, the team has relied on strategy groups, engineers, and a layered communication structure that filters and often delays feedback. But Hamilton is used to speed not just on track, but in decision-making. At the heart of this conflict is trust. Hamilton wants to be trusted not just to drive the car, but to feel the car, to sense what others cannot, and to be given the freedom to act on that. That's how he won 7 world titles, and that's what he expected at Ferrari. But what he's found instead is a system that still leans heavily on pre-planned calls, on simulations, and on decisions made from a command center rather than from the cockpit. The Ferrari boss's response was measured but firm and internal. Communications. He praised Hamilton's experience and insights, but emphasized that Ferrari would not abandon its strategic principles. According to him, the team will always value data, coordination, and execution over individual feeling, no matter how decorated the driver may be. It's a response rooted in tradition, but it also hints at a deeper resistance to change, a resistance that Hamilton is determined to challenge. This clash of philosophies, instinct versus protocol, is now shaping Ferrari's 2025 season. And it's not just about Hamilton. Charles Leclerc is watching this closely. For years, he has been the face of Ferrari, the driver who adapted to their structure, sometimes at the cost of his own instincts. With Hamilton by his side, he's now seeing a different approach, one that demands more influence from the driver, more voice in the moment. Leclerc, too, has suffered from Ferrari's cautious strategies, and Hamilton's defiance could inspire a shift that benefits them both. In the paddock, this story is being watched with quiet intensity. Other teams know what it means when a driver like Hamilton starts pushing back. They've seen it before. At McLaren, early in his career, his push for performance reshaped how the team approached car development. At Mercedes, he became part of a feedback loop that directly influenced race-winning strategies. And now, at Ferrari, he's trying to do the same, but the resistance is stronger. The Ferrari engineers, particularly Riccardo Adami, are now under scrutiny. Adami, a seasoned race engineer, is known for his calm and calculated calls. But calm doesn't always mean correct. When Hamilton asked to stay out, Adami didn't engage in a discussion. He simply said box, 20 laps. It was a command, not a conversation, and that, to Hamilton, was the real issue. A team that trusts its driver listens, especially when the driver is reading the track better than anyone else. There's a growing feeling that Ferrari may soon face a breaking point. Either they evolve with Hamilton and adapt their strategy model to be more flexible, or they risk alienating the very talent they worked so hard to bring in. The 2025 season is still young, but the seeds of conflict are already growing. Hamilton's approach requires Ferrari to think fast, to allow decisions to be made on the fly, and to let instinct complement data. That's not a small ask. For a team that's built on tradition, it means unlearning habits that have been in place for decades. Internally, some voices at Ferrari are beginning to support Hamilton's push. Junior engineers, performance analysts, and even some from the tire data team believe that the Austrian GP exposed a flaw in their rigidity. They see Hamilton's instincts not as a threat, but as a resource. They want to build a hybrid approach, where driver feeling and real-time data work together, not in conflict. But that kind of change doesn't come easy, especially in a team that's been operating with a deep hierarchy. Even Ferrari fans are starting to split. Many still revere the red team's traditional approach, the loyalty to structure, the commitment to process. But a growing number, especially those who followed Hamilton from Mercedes, are frustrated. They see a driver being held back by the very team that was supposed to elevate him. They see opportunities missed, not because of poor performance, but because of poor communication. As we look ahead to the next races, one thing is clear: the tension between Hamilton and Ferrari's strategy is not going away. In fact, it may intensify. Every race will now be a test not just of speed, but of trust. Will Ferrari allow Hamilton to lead from the cockpit, or will they continue to manage from behind the screens? That choice will shape not only the outcome of the 2025 season, but possibly the future of how Ferrari operates. Hamilton's body language after Austria told its own story. There was no meltdown, no anger, just quiet frustration. A man who knows what winning feels like and recognizes when the path to it is being blocked. His message both on the radio and off is clear. He's not here to follow orders. He's here to drive, to lead, to reshape a team that has the tools, but lacks the freedom to use them fully. And if Ferrari doesn't listen, the cost won't just be lost podiums. It will be something deeper, the loss of the very reason Hamilton came to the team: to build, to lead, and to win together. That's what's really on the line. And this disagreement in Austria is only the beginning. What unfolded in Austria was a snapshot of a larger war slowly brewing within Ferrari. It's not just about whether Hamilton should have pitted or not, it's about the very foundation of decision-making at Maranello. Ferrari has spent decades building a system that prizes caution over chaos, data over gut, hierarchy over flexibility. But Hamilton's arrival is shaking that system to its core. His insistence on staying out, his calm but commanding tone, and his silent frustration afterward all pointed to one clear thing: he's not interested in being a passenger in Ferrari's machine. He wants to be a co-pilot, and if Ferrari won't give him the controls, they risk losing the very edge that makes him who he is. The mood inside the garage after the race was tense, not explosive, but tense. Engineers glanced over data, reviewed tire degradation curves, and justified the call based on numbers. But that's the problem. Numbers don't tell the whole story in Formula One. They never have. There are times when the driver feels something, a drop in grip, a shift in wind, a tire that suddenly bites better. Hamilton has made a career of sensing those changes before they show up in the telemetry, and Austria was one of those moments.